Strip away our modern-day Western notions of tea drinking. Trace the story of tea back to its inception, to the discovery of the tea leaf. Where do we find ourselves? Alongside legendary Chinese emperor and herbalist Shen Nong in the biggest windfall moment in ancient Chinese history.
Shen Nong
is a very interesting figure. As the legend goes, he was the leader of a tribe 4,000 or 5,000 years ago. He had a bull's head with 2 horns. There are many tea-related stories about him. One is about his transparent belly through which you could see his intestines. So he ate a lot of tea to cleanse the inside of his belly. That's why the plant is called tea, because tea has a similar pronunciation as the character wipe in Chinese. Another story tells that our ancestors lived under a big tree, and sometimes they boiled water in a pot outdoors. One day, they noticed that suddenly the water in the pot was very fragrant. Then they discovered leaves were floating on the water's surface. They had fallen from the tree above, and the resulting mix tasted very good. After drinking it, people were in good spirits.
Whether by human accident or divine fate, emperor, scholar, and herbalist Shen Nong's discovery unexpectedly ushered tea onto the scene. By the 2nd century, tea's utility in Chinese culture was decidedly medicinal. Its powerful, curative abilities were tantamount to divine healing. Tea became integrally rooted in the country's main religions, known collectively as the 3 teachings: Taoism, Buddhism, and Confucianism.
Since its inception, tea has been different from other drinks. It has a material value, spiritual value, and cultural value. As early as the Xia, Shang, and Zhou dynasties, especially Zhou dynasty, tea was used to consecrate the temple and thought of as being infused with spiritual meaning.
Buddhism ascribed to tea a Zen quality. Tea kept monks awake while meditating. It calmed the stomach. Tea's popularity rose so sharply, even Taoists vaunted its benefits, labeling this leaf a key ingredient in the elixir of immortality. Coincidentally, the misty mountainsides, home to Buddhist and Taoist temples, symbolically removed from the mundane world, also grew the best tea plants.
According to Taoism, tea is a panacea. Tea was believed to be one of the medicines that might help human beings defy mortality and become celestial beings. In the Tang Dynasty, there was a famous poet who was also a well-known tea master, whose name was Lu Tong. He wrote a very popular lyrical poem called 7 Bowls of Tea, describing how he drank 7 bowls of tea consecutively, noting how his state of mind was enhanced after each bowl. The first bowl quenched his thirst. After the second bowl, he was no longer lonely. After the third, he felt much more enlightened and could write more easily. When he drank the 4th bowl, he began perspiring and felt all unpleasant sensations leave his body. After the 5th bowl, he felt lighter. After the 6th, he thought he could communicate with the gods of both earth and sky. He said he dared not to drink the 7th bowl, fearing he might grow wings and fly away, a soft wind lifting him to the skies, becoming a celestial being.
The ancient Chinese praised almighty tea for its incomparable ability to aid digestion, banish sleepiness, restore vitality, and uplift the spirit.
The ultimate ideal of Taoism is a state of harmony with the soul. This transcendence of the body can be a lifelong endeavor. Among many foods reputed to bring long life, tea is the first choice of the Chinese. We consider 108 the ideal age life should last. So, how to live so long? Tea is the key.
In 8th century China, during the Tang Dynasty, tea transcended its role as a purely medicinal drink. It became what we recognize today, a beverage drunk for pleasure. This pivotal change is attributed to one man, Lu Yu, China's sage of tea.
陆羽呢是我们唐代
Lu Yu was a great figure of the mid-Tang dynasty. He'd been discarded as a foundling, so didn't receive a good education at school. Instead, he taught himself and developed his talents. In his 20s, he left northern China to come to Hangzhou. The Classic of Tea is the first book about tea, and at the same time, is the first monograph about tea culture in the history of the world. The book is divided into 3 volumes. Its 10 chapters cover the origins of tea, how it is grown, what water to use, and all aspects of drinking it. Lu Yu was doing pioneering work with no one before or after him writing about tea in the same way. It's one of the great works of the world.
Lu Yu insists on the importance of ritual during tea preparation, seeing tea practice as another activity to celebrate life. The best tea must pass through 9 stages of manufacture, 7 stages of brewing, and is handled with a special set of 24 implements.
It's very interesting. In the Classic of Tea, there are several chapters involving water. The standard then ranked the mountain water as the best, followed by river water, and finally well water. Among all waters, mountain springs were the highest quality.
Even today, the Chinese people adhere to Lu Yu's prescribed principles. The popular expression, "water is the mother of tea," captures the importance of selecting a pure water source. Of the available options for natural water, Tiger Running Spring in the city of Hangzhou is considered supreme. After Lu Yu, tea would never again be some lowly thing. Producing, brewing, drinking, and enjoying tea would forever be a ritualistic form of art.
Making a superior cup of tea involves 4 elements. First, the tea itself must be good. Second, the utensils must be appropriate for that particular tea. Third, there are techniques to heating the water and steeping the tea that guarantee the best flavor. For example, heating the water too slowly will take away some of its fragrance and freshness. Fourth, and the most important one, the water needs to be of the best quality. All of these complex factors are learned with experience, and the Chinese admire those who have mastered what it takes to get it right. That is why we call it tea art, for there is indeed an art to producing a superior cup of tea.
This very art behind superior tea gave Chinese culture the staying power to endure, even defy, the effects of Western expansionism.
Before tea became popular, there had been large-scale plagues. But during the Tang Dynasty, when tea consumption became widespread, plagues such as the European Black Death didn't occur here. We attribute this to our habit of drinking tea. We know after the Ming and Qing dynasties, China's tea spread across the world, first to Turkey, Korea, Japan, and Southeast Asia. Now, 61 countries around the world grow tea, and people from more than 100 countries drink it. In this way, tea truly became a global cultural phenomenon.
With centuries of history, countless virtues, and deep spiritual meanings, tea has permanently captivated China. This magical herb is now irrevocably part and parcel of the Chinese identity.
A Ming Dynasty writer once said, "All of my life I have had little desire for material goods and made few demands for much of anything. All I want is a cup of tea in the mountains, and that will be enough."
If we had to symbolize the Chinese nation with a plant, then there's nothing more appropriate than tea. It's poetic, romantic, authentic, and the more you pluck it, the more vigorous it becomes. But it's also reserved. These qualities of tea resemble the spiritual core of our Chinese nation. I can suggest to Westerners a simple route to understanding China. Seek to understand tea.
你想了解中国文化吗？ 从一杯茶开始吧。